You know, why did someone have to die so sudden and like that and leave them without a daddy?
There was tremendous pressures, outside and internal pressures, to find the people that had committed that murder.
Many people wanted to really solve that case.
Most awful night of my life.
It's a case that hits close to home for law enforcement here in the Lowcountry. An off-duty officer getting supplies for a celebration instead finds himself at an active robbery and pays for it with his life. I'm Blair Sable, and you're watching Gone Cold, the extended cut on Live 5 Plus. Generations of detectives have dedicated themselves to finding who killed Charleston County Police officer William Cribb, only to come up empty-handed. Now we revisit his case, the theories behind who may have done it, and what could finally unlock the 50-year-old mystery, the only unsolved police murder in our area. And for the first time ever, we speak to his son, who, because of Bill's ultimate sacrifice, never got the chance to meet his father. November 15th, 1974, James Island. Two off-duty officers walk into the red and white shop on Folly and Camp Road, preparing for a celebration. But only one would walk away.
I have never forgotten that night. Most awful night of my life.
The officers, Billy Cribb and Grover Tompkins, were preparing for a cookout that Friday evening when the store they chose would shortly be hit by armed robbers. Two suspects were up front. A third was operating as a lookout outside.
It's early in the evening, 6:45 is early, and there's a lot of traffic going in and out of that store. It's pretty brazen.
Both officers jumped into action confronting the suspects, but they didn't see the third, and that's what cost Cribb his life. They got away without a trace, carrying $5,000 in blood-soaked cash.
Why did you do it? Why did you have to kill my son?
That same evening, just down the road, crowds were gathered at a football game.
Anybody who may have been at that game, anybody that lived in that surrounding neighborhood, or even still lives there, has heard or saw anything, or even heard somebody recently talking about it. We'd like to know about it.
Years ago, Captain Paul Tittle, a family friend of the Cribbs, worked with them to create a DNA profile for Bill in the hopes to separate his DNA from the suspects.
I honestly believe that this case, if it is ever solved, it will be solved through science.
Detective Barry Goldstein is the latest to inherit the case.
It's just a matter of if we put something together, along with if somebody comes forward where we can corroborate what we need to get into a courtroom and have a successful prosecution.
But 50 years is a long time to go without answers. Cribb's mother, Winifred, was left wondering who killed her son up until her death.
Maybe I think it's just been too long, and I've accepted the fact that, of course, Bill's not coming back.
The more time goes by, the more difficult it becomes.
That was former Charleston County Sheriff Al Cannon, who acknowledged the challenges in solving this case more than a decade ago. He, alongside former State Representative Mickey Whatley, investigated the case before they became leaders in their respective fields. And the late former North Charleston Police Chief Eddie Driggers also had a hand in the case. None have been successful in solving it, but they did have their theories and even brought in some outside help to try and put all the pieces together.
There are a lot of loose ends that need to be revisited.
Starting with revisiting the original crime scene. With a turn of the key, we walked into the now vacant old red and white store to do a reenactment of Cribb's murder based on eyewitness accounts.
There's some old leads that go to different parts of the country that could be revisited.
Including the possibility the killers may have fled from Charleston to New York City. Cannon says in the 1970s, many local criminals had connections in the Big Apple. Another possibility, the suspects may have been part of a gang that was moving through town.
It's kind of hard to explain how they've gotten away with it for so long.
That was Harv Jacobs reporting in 2010. At the time, he also sat down with Carolyn Carrasquillo, Billy Cribb's wife, at the time of the murder.
I would like to know what they were thinking, how they felt to take a life, to know that someone had died and to know that they did it.
Well, they had a daughter, and Carolyn was pregnant with their unborn child. They had just found out they were having a boy. and that's why Cribb was at the store that night. 6 months later, that baby boy was born.
And you wonder, what would have been.
William Tommy Cribb Jr. has never met his father, but has heard all the stories.
They say he wanted to help people. For a time, he was like a boat captain, and he decided to give up being a boat captain because he wanted to be a police officer.
He's 48 now, about to turn 49.
Do you think that anything that your dad did or any of the stories that you were told about your dad influenced how you live your life now?
He did what he believed was right and what needed to be done. Cost him his life, but he was doing his duty. I just try to be the best person I can be.
He says he believes those responsible for his father's death may already be dead themselves, but says he remains an optimist about the case being solved. Well, if you have any information about the case, the Charleston County Sheriff's Office has asked that you reach out directly to Detective Barry Goldstein, where you can find him by email at bgoldstein@charlestoncounty.gov or by phone at 843-554-2241. You can also call the main line at 843-202-1700 or Low Country Crime Stoppers at 843-554-1111 to remain anonymous. For Gone Cold, I'm Blair Sable. Thanks for watching.